In 2015, the Lord gave me a visionary experience. I think it was a vision instead of a dream, but I saw a popular preacher at the time on stage preaching a wooden floor, and the floor collapsed and he fell in. But it wasn't for me to say anything to that preacher. Someone did. The Lord sent someone to rebuke the preacher while he was preaching, and he was escorted out of the sanctuary. And recently, in fact today, I saw 2 negative reports about the preacher. Back then, he was an itinerant preacher, but now he has at least one church I know of. And rather than getting better, he's been getting worse. Paul wrote about not putting a novice in a position. Lest person gets seduced, tempted, carted off by the devil. I know with the minister in question, when he first came on the scene, many pastors prostituted his gift. That young man probably knows the Bible better than I do. But it's not about knowing the Bible. It's about knowing the God of the Bible. And I was hopeful when I had a visionary experience of him falling through the stage that he would be able to recover. But thus far he has not. It has only continually gotten worse. Only God knows if he'll be like a Manasseh, the son of King Hezekiah, who went into all kind of stuff. But then the Lord encountered him, and he repented, and Manasseh had a turnaround. Oh boy. As I said that name, someone else came to mind. Some pastors are going to have to give an account of themselves to the Lord for prostituting people's gifts, rather than developing them, correcting them, holding them accountable. But back to the person regarding the vision experience. Preaching. People all happy. But he fell into the stage. In 2 Timothy 3 verse 13, the Apostle Paul wrote, "But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived." And one of the things I saw recently, this young man was rebuking his church, the people in his church. And I'm like, who'd be in an organization like that, putting up with that kind of abuse? But many people are. In the book of Ezekiel, the Lord spoke about what is referred to as heavy shepherding. In Jeremiah 23, also addresses heavy shepherding. It addresses false prophets. It is not a light thing to mess with the Lord's sheep. He is the good shepherd. So again, but evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. Everyone be aware of the different shades of pride. That is something I see that is very common. In Genesis 4, the Lord told Cain that sin was crouching at his door, but he must rule over him. Likewise, we must rule over pride, in part by humbling ourselves under the mighty hand of God. We should be above reproach, kind of like in 1 Samuel 12, when Samuel asked people about whom has he defrauded, whose ox has he taken, etc., etc. And he was willing to make recompense if he had done any of those things. And the people basically sounded off that Samuel was a honorable man, a man of God. So we should be above reproach, but not above correction, which means we do our best to be our best by the Spirit of God. But if we mess up and people try to correct us, they will respond quickly. Again, what I saw in 2015, it wasn't my place to say anything to that minister. At least one person that I know or know of corrected that minister or tried. But rather than heeding the correction, and where I see the minister is now, and the thing about evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. I was also reminded of this in Revelation 20. In verses 1 through 3 and then 7 through 8, it is written, "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a little season." So the devil gets imprisoned for 1,000 years. He will get imprisoned, fall into a bottomless pit, kind of like the minister I saw falling through the stage. And with 1,000 years to think about everything he's done, and also what lies ahead if he doesn't repent. Is he going to be like the evil men and seducers who shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived? Or is he going to repent? But in verses 7 through 8, "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go and deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth." Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. He will deceive many. But in verse 10 of Revelation 20, he'll be cast into another pit, the lake of fire and brimstone, where he and the beast and the false prophet will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Do not become one who makes yourself impervious to correction, to the point where the only time you're going to learn a lesson is when you wake up in the pits of hell, awaiting your turn to be tossed into the lake of fire and brimstone. Do not be one who will be among the fallen. And the Apostle Paul also warned about what is called a great falling away. What Satan does is after what's called the millennial reign of Christ, Jesus being on earth for 1,000 years, reigning, and the devil is loosed and will convince people to rebel against Jesus. Do not become one of those who resist the Lord's correction, and as a result, you fall away and you stay away permanently. God is not mocked.